Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do before braiding the mane is work the conditioner in. I can flip the mane over completely to show. And then I'm going to work a little bit of this conditioner in around the roots. So I'm going to go under the mane first by flipping it over. He does not have a bridle path cut, so I just want to make sure I pull in any of the hair that I didn't get in the forelock. And I'm going to rub the conditioner on the underside of the mane first. Right, then I'm going to flip it. Oh, there's a lot of mane. Right, and if the mane is well conditioned, when you braid it, it'll hold the braid longer. So now I'm going to do the underside on the long part. So I did the underside of the roots first. Then I'm going to go under the mane and condition underneath. And if you've ever had long hair, it's the underneath part that turns into dreadlocks first. It's not the outer layer. Right? And then with these long manes, you want to only kind of handle them when they're dry, never when they're wet. And then I'm going to work a little bit of this conditioner on top and just kind of rub it in. And if I want it to be brushed, I'm just going to go through with my fingers. Right? I never really want to use a regular hairbrush on this kind of mane, or if you're trying to grow a long mane, you just want to use your fingers. And you almost can't over condition these manes. It just makes them healthier and shinier. And this one is a little dirty, but we're just going to condition it and braid it and shampoo it another day. Right, so even if the mane is a bit dirty, you're just working that conditioner into the dry hair, combing a little bit with your fingers so it's easier to braid. Okay, and then what we're going to do on him today is a running braid.
Yep.
Okay, so a running braid, we're basically, you can do it tight or loose. I like to keep it a little bit tight. We're going to take a section of hair, right? Then we're going to take another section of hair. We're going to start a braid. So we're going to put one section over, one under. That's the beginning of our braid. Then the next section we take from the top. Oops. And we're going to put that over the next section. And we pull this section down, and where we cross over to make our braid, we're going to add to that. Right? If you don't pull it tight, the braid will sort of get longer and longer as you go. If you pull it tight, it'll be closer to the line of the mane. Right, and this is more to keep the conditioner in and keep all the debris out. But I'm basically doing a kind of a one-sided French braid from the top of the mane side. And he's wiggling around, so I'm just going to keep adding a section. And then when I pull it, I kind of want to pull it up towards the main part as I braid over. Hey. As I braid over, I'm just going to keep adding in segments. So it's 3 strands, but every time I'm coming from underneath, I'm going to add another section from the top. Right, then I come from underneath over, underneath over, and as I do the second underneath, I'm going to add another section from the top. Oops, and I missed a section. I can throw that in. Okay. So the braid will angle down as you go, and you can make it really drapey and loose, or what I'm doing is keeping it sort of tight to the top of the mane, but it's naturally, as you braid, going to start moving downward. Right, so if I wanted to make it like on top of the neck, I would have to keep braiding up here. If it's just a braid to keep the hair protected, keep the debris out of his mane, then you can kind of let it get longer as you get closer and closer to the withers. He's a bit of a moving target while I'm braiding. But this is a pretty easy one to do, and it's a pretty braid. It's easy to do. You don't have to use a million rubber bands. It'll stay in a few days, and then you might have to redo it. So there's my section from the top. I'm gonna pull down. He's getting impatient. So we finished up the body clipping. We conditioned the mane, the tail. And then we're just gonna, now as I get lower, I wanna add in bigger and bigger segments and keep pulling as I get this piece from underneath. I want to pull this side tight, bring from underneath and around, then add a section over the top. Right, then I'm bringing it from underneath. This is the section I want to keep tight and upward. Then I bring that section from underneath and add from the top. Okay. So now I'm just going to kind of pull in, because I want this, I'm going to wrap up this braid so it hangs about here. So at the bottom of the braid is where I want to kind of pull in the last of the long chunks that I can reach. Then I just have to braid, regular braid, down as long as I need it to be. And obviously he can still put his head and neck wherever he likes with this braid. There we go. So that is called a running braid, and it's just a single braid all the way down, kind of like a one-sided French braid. So you're never adding from both sides of the braid, you're only ever adding from the top. So it's a sideways braid, and you only ever add when you're coming around this way to add in, and then it comes out like this beautiful sort of rope. And then I'm just going to put one rubber band on the end, and if it's conditioned and you braid pretty tight, it should last, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 days before it has to be rebraided when he's turned out and working. And that's a running braid.